What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Well, what can I say? I had thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight watching boxing. I like the Mayweather Guerrero fight as well as the undercard fights. A couple things unexpected. I'm going to do my videos for the undercards probably tomorrow because I'm exhausted. Just had a busy last 2 days. Um, Went out, had a couple drinks, went to see Iron Man 3 yesterday, stayed up late. Watch the fights today. You guys know how that goes. So I'm gonna do my Mayweather Guerrero fight breakdown, and I'll do my future breakdowns for the undercard fights tomorrow and post those up. So be on the lookout for those. Okay, so Robert Guerrero versus Money Mayweather. What can I say? I mean, Mayweather just showed why he's the best, why he's pound for pound the number one guy, why he's undefeated still. Robert Guerrero even said that post fight. And this was a very dominant performance. It was a masterpiece. Um, Mayweather continues to impress and do the unthinkable at a late age 36. A lot of people thought I actually seen it. So this is the thing with Mayweather. He has a lot of people that don't like him. Like no matter if he's humble and he's kind of trying to change his persona with his new Showtime deal, then they say he's scared. Like when Robert Guerrero or Ruben Guerrero was calling him a woman beater and all kinds of shit. And if he doesn't respond to it, they say he's scared. Yet, if he acts ignorant and retaliates and says something back and disrespects the fighter, then they say he's a chump or he's ignorant or ghetto or whatever they want to say. So either way, it's going to always be bad in the eyes of some people just because they don't like Mayweather. But truth be told, I mean, the dude's a beautiful boxer, no homo. He's definitely gifted. He's definitely skilled. And he continues to show and improve and impress. And I don't want to hear it from some of you guys. I was right on my prediction, as well as a lot of other people that predicted Mayweather. And that's what it was. This fight went the distance. It was a unanimous decision on Mayweather's part. And it was just a clinic. It was a masterpiece. And he did what he had to do. Again, you can't please everybody. That's to be expected. Some people, no matter what, they're not going to like Mayweather. They're never going to give him just his due credit. He's the type of fighter that once he walks away from the sport, maybe some of the people will realize how great he was as a boxer. But again, I don't want to see people. I mean, you could do whatever you want. It really doesn't offend me. But some of you guys leave comments weeks before the fight, and after the fight, then you want to change it. Like Cotto versus Mayweather. Before the Cotto fight, I've seen tons of people and they're like, Cotto's going to give it to Mayweather. Mayweather shouldn't have signed up for this fight, etc., etc. And then you see Mayweather win the fight, and then all of a sudden Cotto's washed up. Now, I just seen comments up until the point of the fight tonight, even today, on various boxing pages and sites and forums, and people were like, this is Floyd's toughest test. He's going in with a young, hungry southpaw who mauled Berto. Guerrero, I don't know, he is from a smaller weight class. That's no mystery. However, look at his size. He looks taller than Floyd. Like he looks like he's more 5'8.5 inches. He looks slightly taller than Floyd in the little face-to-face showdowns and whatnot. He has the frame to make welterweight, without a doubt. It's not like Gary Russell Jr., someone who's 5'4", who I can't picture making welterweight ever, just because they're 5'4", or someone like Gamboa. I don't think Gamboa has the frame to make welterweight. This dude, if you look at his back, if you look at his legs, he has really thick tree trunk legs. I mean, Robert Guerrero, he's a big dude. He even had problems making weight from what I heard. So if you look at his walk around weight, I mean, he puts on pounds. So I don't want to hear that, oh, Robert Guerrero's from the smaller weight classes. The guy is mentally tough. He's physically tough. He showed time and time again, the Berto fight, again in this fight. He has a chin. Selçuk Aydin was a feared puncher that no one else wanted to fight. Guerrero stepped in and fought him, and he took all of his punches, never got knocked out or knocked down in any of those fights. So the dude has a chin. He has a man-style chin. And again, people were saying, oh, he's a southpaw. Mayweather's too old. He lost a step. I told people from the jump that a lot of people put too much stock in the Cotto fight. Um, you got to put things in perspective. Cotto and Guerrero, two different fighters. Um, Cotto is more seasoned, I would say, at that weight class and that championship level. Um, Cotto's been in there with some great people. He's been in there with the Pacquiaos. He's been in there with the Zab Judas, just different styles. Randall Bailey's, power punchers. Paulie Malignaggi. Cotto is more seasoned than Robert Guerrero. Robert Guerrero does have some good wins. Escobedo, Orlando Salido, that wasn't a win, but he was in there with them. Um, Bertos, Iden, but none of those fighters have the skill set of a Floyd Mayweather Jr. Whereas Cotto, you could say he's been in there with everybody. He's been in there with Josh Claudius. He's been in there with Zab Judah, who was a very technically sound fighter, especially Zab Judah. And actually, recently Zab Judah had a good showing against Danny Garcia. So Zab Judah has an impressive athletic skill set. It's just more or less his mental fragility that worries me, and I think separates him from someone like a Floyd Mayweather. But anyway, Robert Guerrero, he tried, and it just wasn't good enough. He was outclassed, he was schooled, and I enjoyed the fight. Again, some people you're not going to be able to please. They're going to say Mayweather ran. It was a boring fight. Robert Guerrero was too small. It's a whole laundry list of excuses after the fight is over. But before the fight, Robert Guerrero was the toughest southpaw who's going to knock Mayweather out, and he didn't even come close to that. So give credit where credit's due. It was a good fight, a valiant effort, a spirited effort. Robert Guerrero, I would definitely like to see more from him. He showed that he has a chin. He took some hellacious right hands. He showed that he's game, and he can make it a hard night for anybody just because he's very persistent and he has a chin. I mean, just those two things alone will complicate anybody's night if you don't have a Mayweather skill set or if you don't have the mental strength that both of the fighters tonight had. So I definitely would watch more from Robert Guerrero. I don't know if he should move back down, like maybe 140, 147. I don't know what kind of noise he'll make against 147. He had his big opportunity, and he came up short. But it's not something to hold your head low. It's Mayweather. He's the pound-for-pound number one guy, and you just found out tonight why he is that. And people are quick to hate and criticize Mayweather. He did say he fought with a broken hand, or excuse me, not broken, injured or hurt hand. I don't know the extent of it, but his hand was hurt. And before you downplay, you have to understand boxing. Boxing is a sweet science. It's about hit and don't get hit. It may not be as entertaining to you, but there's a lot of people who appreciate boxing for what it is, and that's hit and don't get hit, the sweet science, boxing purists. I like all types of fights. I've always said that. Brandon Rios, he's interesting. I'll watch all of his fights. I watched his fights with Murray before. You know what I mean? I watched old fights with Brandon Rios before he even had really a fan base when he first got with Robert Garcia. And I know some of you guys can't say the same. You just watched them more or less. Oh, Alvarado and Rios. And I know some of you guys are into UFC and stuff. You just want to see a bloodbath. But I can appreciate all types of fights, everything in between, all types of boxing. And this was a clinic. It's a boxing clinic. He hurt his hand. I think he might have been able to stop him had he not hurt his hand. But either way, it was a convincing win, so it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm making excuses because he didn't lose. So he was just too much for Robert Guerrero. It's the end. And again, some people are going to say, oh, Mayweather was scared. He ran, blah, blah, blah. But if anyone had the chance to beat Robert Guerrero should have had one of the best chances. He's a southpaw. That's always going to be harder against a right-hander. He's aggressive. He has a crazy work rate and work ethic in the ring. He throws a lot of volume of punches, and he has a chin. And a lot of people are saying he's very technically sound, and he's seasoned enough to defeat Mayweather. So don't change your story now that he lost. And people don't realize some things that Mayweather does so subtly, you get bored, or some of you get bored, like, oh, it's a boring fight. It's because I honestly feel you don't appreciate the beauty of boxing. You have to understand, why did all of a sudden Robert Guerrero, who came out looking pretty sharp in the first two, maybe three rounds, why did he all of a sudden become hesitant and gun shy and less willing to engage? There was times in the fight, later in the fight, where Guerrero had Mayweather in a very vulnerable or susceptible position against the ropes, and he didn't let his hands go. There's a reason for that. And the reason is he was getting tagged. He was getting countered with punch after punch. The right hand was landing at will. He was getting dominated. And for that reason, it made him tentative and less likely to engage because he knew there was going to be some comeback. I don't honestly think that he realized how fast Floyd still is at age 36. And again, I told a lot of people, you guys put too much faith and stock into the Miguel Cotto fight. Miguel Cotto, another fighter who shows a level of toughness. I mean, he's never been knocked out cold, even in his losses. He's a tough fighter. He's very durable. He has a chin. He avenged his first loss against Antonio Margarito. And arguably in that first fight, Margarito might have been cheating. We later discovered that Margarito had illegal hand wraps and plaster in his gloves, loaded gloves. So we don't know how long he's been doing that little cheating trick. So when he defeated Cotto, it's perfectly possible that that was the case. But anyway, Cotto avenged that loss against Margarito. He was on a 3-win TKO streak. Mayweather fought him at 154. I heard Mayweather's only fought at 154 two times against Cotto and Oscar De La Hoya, for those of you who don't know. I also heard that Mayweather had the flu right before it, and he still beat Cotto convincingly. And Cotto did give him a bloody nose. That's true. Cotto had a game-spirited effort, just like Robert Guerrero. I think Cotto was actually more successful than Robert Guerrero. I think Mayweather won a lot easier, and he really looked unscathed in this fight. It looks like he can do a photo shoot after this particular fight. He didn't look like he had been touched. And again, the people who don't like Mayweather, you're automatically going to slander or find ways to discredit his win. But again, if you appreciate boxing, then you'll realize there's a way and a reason that Robert Guerrero acted and responded the way. I mean, this dude in press conferences before the fight, at the weigh-in, in rounds 1, 2, and 3 probably, he looked mentally strong. And as the fight progressed and went on, he looked more and more discouraged. Round 8 was a horrible round for Guerrero, and it looked like he might even get stopped. A bad cut was opened up. You can hear it in Guerrero's corner. They were really telling him to press the action, use the body. And again, he bit off more than he can chew. And there's a reason. That's just because Mayweather's that good. He's that skilled. If you look at it, he averaged 48 punches per round in this fight. And previously, in his last 2 welterweight fights, he averaged 71 punches per round. So that's 30 less punches, roughly. And there's a reason, because he was afraid to get countered. And that's what Mayweather does. People like Mayweather, people like Andre Ward, they take away your best weapon. Rigondeaux, another fighter, they take away your best weapons because they're very smart. Their ring generalship, their ring IQ. And it shows. I honestly thought Robert Guerrero would have a stronger performance. Just being 6 years younger, being a southpaw, I thought that would come into play. And the work volume, he didn't really show much of the work volume. He just showed durability to take a shot and keep coming forward. But he didn't let his hands go. He became very tentative. And Mayweather just dominated. Mayweather he landed 60% of his power punches. Robert Guerrero landed 28%. Mayweather threw 254 power punches, landed 153 of them, and that's 60%. Robert Guerrero, he threw a little bit more, 290, but he landed a lot less. He only landed 81. That's why his percentage is so much lower. Jabs thrown. Mayweather threw 222 jabs and landed 19% of them. Guerrero threw 291, so he threw a little bit more, but he only landed 11% of his jabs. And if you watch the fight in its entirety, the crisper, the more accurate snapping jab, they were landed by Mayweather. Mayweather had a beautiful jab in some of the rounds. So, I mean, Mayweather's just that dude. That's just my opinion. He's very skilled, and he keeps proving people wrong. So don't try to renege and say, oh, Guerrero was washed up. He's mediocre. He was too small. He was cherry picked. He was a mandatory opponent. I mean, just stop with the excuses. Face facts. Mayweather's good, and he's been good. So that's really all I got to say. Good fight. I definitely watched Guerrero fight. I like after the fight, he didn't really make excuses. He just said it wasn't in God's plan for me to win, and he just admitted that he got outboxed, basically. So props to Robert Guerrero for being humble even in defeat. Props to Floyd Mayweather, who's actually been a lot more humble lately, and just putting on a beautiful boxing clinic, showing why he is the master and some of these other dudes are just the student. And like I said, I thought Robert Guerrero had a good shot to steal some rounds. Like, I thought it might even be like 8 rounds to 4 or something like that, based on Robert Guerrero's southpaw stance, his aggressiveness. But Mayweather pretty much took his soul and took that away from him, took the confidence little by little, and he just kept doing it. And Mayweather shows that he's still elusive, he's still crafty, he still has respectable power, he still can move, his feet aren't gone, he can still fight you and beat you at your own game. And a lot of people are saying Mayweather ran, he was scared, but there was a good percentage of the fight where he did fight toe to toe. So you can't say, oh, he lied. There's times, plenty of times where he was fighting toe to toe. He was fighting very flat footed at the very beginning of the fight, and some people had it a shutout, and I wouldn't even be mad at that. If you had Mayweather winning all 12 rounds, I wouldn't even be mad at that. If you gave Guerrero 2 rounds, that's cool. That's fair too. But either way, it was a very dominant performance. Mayweather shows that he still has a lot to offer. He's definitely still mobile, still sharp, still a thinker, and a great night of boxing. I enjoyed the undercards as well. So I'll get into those tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think is next? What do you think is wrong with Mayweather's hand? And that's really it. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.